Robinson, Yolanda Hall, Ms. Octavia Marsh, and our program director, hold on, back up, Mr. Michael Harris, then our program director, Ms. Jackie Smith.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Again, the subject that we're going to be discussing today is gun violence and conflict resolution. And I just need to say that, first of all, this program was planned months and months ago. So there's been some recent things that has happened in our community, but they've been happening ongoing for a long time. So it's really important going into the summer that we have an understanding. You're going to hear about some statistics. You're going to hear about some ways to resolve conflict. We need your eyes and your ears opening. Now, if you're a part of the Oakland Village work team, I see Gigi, I'm calling people out, in Zion, I need y'all to come to the front. If you notice, where the high schoolers sit? Where the high schoolers sit? Raise your hand, high schoolers. Everybody that's in high, raise it high like your life depend on it. If you're going to high school. Yeah, that's right. This is a leadership program. We sit in the front. We don't linger in the back. So leaders lead. So you need to find a place up front if you're in high school, and show the middle schoolers how it's done. That's part of the new correction that we're going to have, the new normal. Leaders lead, all right? So I'm not going to hold you hostage, but what we're going to do, can we turn that music all the way down? Yes. Thank you. What we're going to do, everyone, we are going to have a moment of silence for not just what happened yesterday, not for the families that the tragic situation on yesterday, but things that have been happening in our city, in our state, and in our country as it relates to gun violence. Everyone has been affected in some form or fashion as it relates to the violence that's been going on. We can't blame everything on COVID. All right, we can't. We got to get out of that. And we got to become emotional, mature, and learning the ways to deal with each other without the outcome being tragedy. So at this time, can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. This time I'd like our prevention manager to come up just to have a few words of inspiration and just so you know who she is. That's important. And we're going to proceed on with our program. All right? Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all so much for taking time to be here to our youth. I especially thank you for being here. For our parents, we appreciate you for being here and being here with your children and making sure that they're here. For our guests, we thank you for spending time with us and to be able to share valuable information and life experiences with our youth. I just want you, the youth, to know that you are enough, you matter, and you are greatly loved by your community, by your family. And I hope that this information that you hear tonight will resonate with you, and that you will make healthy choices in your life, as well as spread these messages to your peers and family members. Thank you again for being here.
Take the opportunity to invite Ms. Octavia Marsh to the front, please.
Good evening. Good evening. All right, where's the center?
Okay, guys, she said good evening. Where's the response at? Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I'm the Prevention Services Supervisor, also at Henrico Area Mental Health and Developmental Services. I want to check in first. Did everybody in the room get a raffle ticket? All right. Hold on to that. We got some good stuff coming. You can go to the next slide, please. I get the honor and privilege to just acknowledge a few people here tonight who support us and rally around with us to bring you this information and the resources that we're providing tonight. First, I will acknowledge Nicole Gore. Miss Nicole, you want to step in and wave? Ms. Nicole is the director at the Office of Behavioral Health Wellness at the state's Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. That's a mouthful. And then also Ms. Monica Smith-Callahan, who's our Deputy County Manager for Community Affairs. And I'd like to invite Ms. Smith-Callahan to come up and share a few remarks with us, please.
Good evening. Good evening. It's been a long day. Y'all are in exams, finishing up. Yes, but it's going to be a good evening. I heard a little bit about what is planned for you all this evening, and I hope, as Ms. Jacqueline said, that you take this information back to your peers and share within your communities, because then you become the ambassador. You become the ambassador for good, spreading the good, positive messages. On behalf of Henrico County, we are happy that this event is taking place in the county, but regardless of what school division you go to or where you reside, all of you belong to us, and we want to see you whole, happy, and healthy in everything that you do. So we are just here, the adults are just here to support you, to wrap around you. Please know that if you are a county resident or not, there are resources. There is information, there are things available for all ages, each of you. If you have a desire to learn, grow, to want to be exposed to workforce development. I know you guys love money. Henrico County has an internship program. We hire students in high school. We don't have anything for the elementary and middle school babies yet, but high schoolers, look into it. If you are interested in learning more, broadening your horizons, this isn't a commercial. It's just to say that there are things available for you, and we are here for you, and we want to see you again whole, happy, and healthy. And please know that this county or wherever you reside has resources and services available for you. So I'm excited to see what you guys engage in this evening, and yeah, have a great time. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get your minds thinking for a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions and see what you already know so far. Okay, first question. From 2016 to 2021, there were blank firearm injuries, emergency department ED visits in Virginia. A, 12,747. B, 10,324. Again, A is the correct answer. In the state of Virginia, we had 12,747 firearm injuries in the state of Virginia. Second question, firearm injuries. There were blank, non-fatal firearm injuries, hospitalizations in Virginia in 2021. A, 4,256. B, 1,345. How many? One. A is the correct answer. It was 4,256 non-fatal injuries in the state of Virginia. And the last question, on average, blank people in Virginia. Oh, skip me again.
It's 2 questions per slide.
Okay, we go back to the last one. Okay, we go. On average, blank people in Virginia died by firearms every day from 2016 to 2021. A, 3, B, 10. New person. You're a new person. Yes, you are. The correct answer is A. Anything else? Any more questions?
Just 2 more.
2 more?
All right, these ones are going to be true, false.
Okay.
Most deaths by firearm in 2016 to 2021 were suicide, followed by homicide. Is that true or false?
A new person here, new person.
Just shout it out. You don't
Shout
have to
it
raise
out.
your hand. I hear false. I hear true. Which one?
The correct answer is true.
Yep. All right. Males and people aged 15 to 24 experience the highest burden of firearm injuries across emergency department visits, non-fatal hospitalizations, and deaths, also in the same time frame, between 2016 and 2021. Is that true or false? True.
Correct again. Answer is true.
So we care about girls and boys alike, but we do see those rates tend to be a little bit higher with boys. And so what we're going to talk about tonight with our panel is going to be a lot of just some of the things that we see in our community, the different risks, as well as some of the things that we can do to protect you all, for you to protect yourselves. Go ahead. We gonna talk this first?
Okay, in Henrico County, quick facts. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. My eyes are kind of getting a little faded here. Okay, in 2007, homicides were 25. 2008, 12. 2019, 7. 2020, they were 15. In 2021, 25. Of the average of 17 homicides. In 2022, it jumped up to 30 with a 76% chance average, basically. So
the point of this, what we wanted to highlight, was right here in our own county, these are the trends, right? So what we see is that the trends are moving upward. So as we go each year, that number is increasing, right? And so in 2022, there were also 243 guns that were stolen from vehicles. And then 65% of those actually reported that those vehicles were unlocked. So what can we do to prevent some of that? Lock the car doors. That's right.
I have a gun in the car either.
Right, and I have a gun in the car. All right, next slide, please. All right,
rifle
Mr.
time.
Kendall, shake it up, shake
it
it up.
Maybe just wake up a little bit.
Everybody got that ticket? I need y'all to get excited about gift cards.
Some gift cards now. Gift cards.
Like, I got
Come up here, Mr. Kendall. Got your numbers? Pull your numbers out. Pull your numbers out now.
Make sure I give you all the winning number. Winning number is 351243. 351243. No number?
Right here.
Oh, yeah, mom. Is that mom? Okay. All right, let's give her a hand clap.
Okay, who has not gotten a rifle ticket? We got two right here need rifle tickets. And one in the front, right in the front too. So next time around, you. So I'm gonna go ahead and get y'all going. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we're gonna move on with our program. We have Miss Yolanda Hall and Miss Octavia Marsh. They're gonna talk about adverse childhood experience, ACEs, trauma and stress response.
Take it away. Good evening, everybody. I'm Miss Yolanda, like we said earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I can see.
We people that talk and move, so it's hard to stay right there.
Yeah, they gave us a rule, told us to stay in the box. But I'm so excited to see y'all this afternoon, all your young faces, and even some younger than we expected. Excuse me, or that we were thinking were going to be here. So when we talk about prevention and we talk about learning early, early intervention is key. So the earlier that you learn these things, the better you can make decisions as you get older and move forward in life, right? So we're going to talk about something that everybody experiences, something that all of our parents, all of us, we experience, and it's stress, right? How many people in here have been stressed? Some of y'all telling the story. Everybody here should have been up, right? Because we're going to talk about stress, and we're going to talk about the different levels of stress. So maybe in the end, when I ask the question again, you all will realize that everybody has been stressed, right? And stress is a normal part of life, right? Everybody goes through stress. But there are, what you might not know is that there's at least three different levels of stress, okay? So the first one is positive stress. And you should be able to see it up on the screen. And positive stress is, it's a part of normal development, right? It's characterized by brief increases in heart rate and mild elevations of hormone levels, right? So can you think of something that you were stressed out about, but it was something that was positive? Somebody give me an example. Think about school, maybe. Graduation, yes, right? Making sure you got everything in order, making sure you got those credits straight, make sure, you know, your paperwork gets sent in, all those kinds of things. Thank you, yes. Performance, that is awesome, absolutely. You know, some of us probably had a little bit of positive stress that we had to come up here and stand and be on camera today. So that is awesome, right? And that's something that it pushes you, right? That stress, those high hormone levels, pushes you to kind of get excited to do what you need to do, right? But it feels difficult, but it's good, right? So that's why I said everybody's been stressed. So even if it's not negative stress, even if you're preparing for something positive and you feel a little nervous, that's still a form of stress, but it's positive, right? So somebody in middle school, give me a definition of what stress is. What's your middle school definition of stress? Somebody? Anybody? Okay. Yes, sir. Tess? Well, okay, so that's an example, but give me a definition. Like, what does it mean? What does the word stress mean to you? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? What does it mean?
How do you know when you're stressed?
You want us to come back to you? Yeah. Okay. What do you think? When you get frustrated? Okay, that may be another word. What's the definition? I get nervous and I get headaches, right? So those are some symptoms. What else? Aren't you in high school? Okay, middle school. All right. Is there anybody in high school that has a definition for stress? Anybody? Anybody? Come on, I know y'all know. And I'm not looking for the dictionary definition of stress. Just what is your definition of stress? Or what are some things that happen to you when you are stressed? How do you know that you're stressed?
We might have to ask this question for the next raffle.
Right. So stress is a noun and a verb. Y'all know in school, noun is a person, place, or thing, right? So stress is a thing, but it's also a verb. It's a thing because it's a state of being, right? It's a state of being when you're experiencing challenges, and it sometimes overwhelms you, and it makes it hard for you to cope and continue on doing what it is that you have to do. But stress is also a verb, like I'm stressing, right? And so my heart is pounding, my hands are sweaty. What else? My heart is racing. I may have my hands clenched. I don't know, my eyes may be blurry, right? So you have different kind of symptoms to let you know that you are stressed. So it's important that you know that. I skipped that in the beginning, so I wanted to go back to that. But so we have positive stress, and then we have tolerable stress, right? And tolerable stress is a stress that maybe lasts a little bit longer. It's a little bit harder to deal with. You may experience some sadness. It may be really difficult, but it's something that you can tolerate, right? It won't keep you in bed forever. You know, it's something that I'm like, okay, this may take a little while. But I'm going to get over it. So somebody give me an example of some stress that they can tolerate. Something that's maybe a little hard to deal with, but I may eventually get better. Yes. Math? Absolutely. I love it. Math. Anybody else? Yes, my subjects in school is hard, right? And I'm thinking about things that probably affect adults. Well, affect all of us. Like maybe if someone we know and loved passes away, right? So it hurts. It hurts for a while, but we can usually get a little bit better and kind of move on with our life, just still keeping them in our hearts and minds, right? So these are things that we can tolerate. But then there is something that's called toxic stress. Now, I know y'all use that word toxic a lot. Oh, she toxic. I gotta leave her alone. He toxic, right? I got teenagers at home. So what do you think toxic stress is? Yes. Okay, it could be relationships. Something that's bad for you, okay. When it's really, really bad, yes, right? So when it's really, really bad and it happens over and over and over again, right? So imagine, there's that bully at the bus stop. And every day I walk to, oh, okay. Thank you.
I was just going to say, like, an abusive parent can be prolonged stress over a long period of time.
Yes, that is an example. Yes, right? And that's a good one. Or a parent who's being abused and we're watching it. Okay? But we were talking about, what's the example? The bully, right? So I'm coming home every day, and this bully is at the bus stop. And when I get off the bus, I see this bully every day, and this bully terrorizes me every day, over and over and over again. So every day, I got to feel those feelings of fear. I got to feel those feelings of stress. Or if, this is happening in my house every night, that is toxic. If I'm in a relationship and somebody is, being abusive to me or saying certain things to me, and it's happening over and over and over again, then it's toxic. Our bodies were only meant to be in stress mode for 20 minutes or more. That's to get us to safety. But when we are experiencing over and over again, it is toxic. And those toxic levels of stress cause problems. And later on in life, we will be dealing with like some illnesses and some different things because we remained in that stressful, toxic situation. So we probably talk about that more another time, but we just wanted y'all to know the difference in the different types of stress, okay? All right.
For example, too.
Oh,
And I was just going to say, prolonged stress over a period of time, especially extreme stress, can change your DNA and you can pass it down to your children on an epigenetic level. So,
right. That's right. That's right. So we have a whole presentation on ACEs, and we just wanted to touch it a little bit tonight, but you taking us right there. This is exactly where we kind of going, okay? All right. So can we move to the next slide?
And bring it back center.
Yeah. I got to see. This is the thing, the fact that I can't see. Okay, so there are 5 Fs when it comes to your stress response. So when these things happen, we respond to them, right? That's the verb, we stressing, right? And so the first one is fight, right? So if there is a threat that's coming towards me, then I'm going to go towards it, and I'm going to get that thing before it gets me, right? So that's fight. Then there is flight. So I sense a threat, and that threat is coming towards me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to deal with you, and I run the other way. Okay, so that's fight and that's flight. Have y'all heard fight, flight, freeze? Some of y'all have? Okay. And then there's freeze, right? And so that's like the inability to move, right? You just like, I see the threat, but I'm just going to freeze because I'm not really sure what to do. I'm not really sure if it's safer over there or if it's safer over there, so I'm just going to freeze, right? And I think about if I'm in a neighborhood and I see a pit bull that's loose, right, in my neighborhood, and it's coming towards me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, so I might freeze. Then we have fawn, right? And fawn is where you kind of try to please the person, so going back to that toxic relationship you were talking about, they're coming at you all the time and they're being abusive, and then you finally just say, you know what, if I just be really nice to them and try to avoid conflict with them, then maybe I will be safe. Because at the end of the day, it's all about safety, okay? And then the last one, and we just recently found out about these last 2, but the last one is flock. And flock looks to reactions of others, or you find protection in groups. So I may be, at my after-school program, and something is going on. There's something that's, some drama that's going on. So I don't know what to do, so I'm looking for a crowd of people, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do what they do, and hopefully I can find safety over there, right? So y'all got that? Fight, flight, or freeze. So I'm running towards the threat, away from the threat, or I'm just freezing and hope they don't see me. And then there is fawn, and there's fawn where I'm trying to please the person, and then there is flock. So I'm going to a group for safety. So I just want to ask you, because this is the important thing about what I'm sharing today, is that it's all about awareness. Awareness is key. And when you can understand what is going on, like sometimes we avoid things and we're trying to figure out why we avoid those things, but when you understand that it's a stress response, and, oh, I'm doing this because I'm stressed, like I feel like I'm in a dangerous situation. Just having that awareness and being able to communicate with people it decreases conflict, right? It decreases problems. And so as we get older and we know how to identify those things and communicate them to people, then we can have more peace in our lives and we can communicate our needs and be able to solve conflicts and be good, okay? So I just have a quick question. I just want y'all to raise your hand if you feel comfortable, right? And this is just personal if you want. Anybody in the room ever had a fight response? There was a threat coming towards them? Okay, the young people in the room, y'all on it. They honest, right? They like, somebody came for me and I was like, I'm gonna get you before you get me. And maybe it wasn't a person, okay? Maybe it was just a different kind of situation that felt threatening, right? But maybe you've had a fight response before and you didn't know why. You just was going towards the thing or the person. What about flight, where you were like, I'm just gonna run, I'm gonna go the other way because I don't wanna get, right? And that's one of mine. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even feel like dealing with this. I'm just gonna go that way. Thank you for being honest. Any freeze? Anybody like, I'm just gonna stay in the bed today. I don't want to deal with this, okay, right? And then what about fawn? Like, maybe if I just nice to this person, and, you know, sometimes it's our parents, right? We see that they're stressed, and they're going through some things, and, you know, it looks kind of threatening to be in a situation, and you're like, let me be nice to mom, and maybe things will be good, or maybe be nice to my sister or my brother. Okay, thank you all for your participation. The last one is flock, right? And that was kind of new, but kind of like I just go to the crowd. I kind of move with the crowd. Anybody? Sometimes? Okay. All right, excellent. So we're going to, you know, move right along, and we're going to talk about kind of what's happening in your brain when these things are happening. And again, it's all about awareness. Once you know this stuff, and we could go so much deeper, but we don't have the time. But once you know these things, then you can understand what's happening in your body, in your brain, and in your body, and why you then act or respond the way you act in certain situations. And it could be so life-saving for you to just understand what's happening in your mind and in your body, okay?
I have a quick comment or question before we move along.
Okay.
So
I'm
just
sorry.
wanted to add, because I know we have some older young people in here, that especially the last three for the stress response can also be a response to abuse, to assault. And so the only reason I'm saying that is because if there's anyone in here who has experienced that or is experiencing that, just want to make sure that they understand that is a very valid response. That is a stress response to not wanting to upset the person to trigger them, you know, to freezing up when something's happening, to looking for protection in support groups or whatever it may be. And so I just wanted to just add that if someone is experiencing that or has, that is a very normal, natural, and valid response.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for adding that.
Yes, and you may experience all five. You know, sometimes it depends on the situation. You may, you know, fight in one area, but then you may freeze in another area. And it's a totally normal response, like the sister said. So I appreciate y'all for listening and participating. Oh.
Solo applause back there.
Right. There's
All
more.
right. We're going to continue this conversation, but talking a little bit about the brain. Does anybody in here actually like science? Come on, my people. There we go. Yeah, the subject's in it. Does anybody in the room know at what age your brain finishes developing? 25? All right, I see a few 25s. 25 is correct. And so our brains actually develop from the bottom up. Can you give me a hand model? Look, look.
Okay.
This one. Which one? With the stem?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Miss Yolanda is modeling our brain by hand, so that way you can do this activity to remember it. So the bottom is our brain stem. So that part of our brain is all about our survival. So that part of our brain is constantly rationing with us. Am I safe? Right? So all that stress response that we just talked about, all of that is happening in the brain stem. So that's our stress response is coming from that. Our bodies need safety. We want safety. Okay? So then the middle part of our brain is our limbic system. So the limbic system is responsible for our emotional regulation, right? So of course we're here tonight to talk about conflict. A lot of conflict comes from our emotions and how we respond to that, right? And so our emotional state is always asking, am I loved, right? We all want to be loved. We want to be safe, we want to be loved, and we want our basic needs met, right? So then the prefrontal lobe, or our executive state, that is what we call our executive state is the last part of our brains to develop. So when you all just answered that question with our brains are developing until age 25, that part of our brain is continuing to develop until then. And that part of our brain is always asking, what can we learn from this? It's also our rationale, our decision making. And so maybe your parents have said, why would you do something dumb like that? Now you can tell them, it's because my brain is not finished developing, right? Right, I'm working on it. And so, no, but honestly, that is because that's the last part of our brain to develop. And so everything that we're responding to and how we respond is coming out of a state of survival and emotion. And that's what our panel is going to really bring that home for us tonight and talking about. Okay, so we just wanted to provide that visual for you all. And now everybody has the brain hand model. All right. So everything that Ms. Yolanda and I have been talking about is how we respond in our environment. And so there is something called adverse childhood experiences. So what happens to us in our childhood might impact us into our adult life, right? And so on the slide, these are all different things that might happen in our life or in our environment. And so what you see, and the reason that we like this visual is because above the root of like where you see the tree, those are things that maybe people can see or they know what's going on. So maybe you're experiencing domestic violence, substance abuse. People have talked about that already in some of the comments shared from the panel. But then there's also the things happening maybe under the surface that don't necessarily define you, but are happening to you. Okay, and so those might be things like discrimination, racism, violence in our community, the very topic that we're here for tonight, things like poor housing quality. So you name it, all those things are our experiences, and all those things can be traumatic, okay? And so when we're talking about ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, we're often talking about trauma and what has happened to us. And so our goal for tonight is to really be able to think about some of that community environment and some of that trauma that you all might be experiencing, and then to get some solutions and strategies from our panel on maybe some of that stress response, and now how you know how you're going to respond and respond in a positive manner. Okay? What we got? I think we got a raffle, maybe?
Yeah, it's raffle time again.
That there are a few people I think that need to get their tickets added in, maybe?
Who needs a ticket? Anyone needs a ticket? Anyone needs a ticket? Raise your hands up.
They are.
All right, Kendall, you on deck. You on deck for emotion
So I
wheel.
can do this. I just need, he doesn't have, you want another one?
All right, everybody got their tickets in the bowl. You got one?
You need one? Oh,
We got one more, y'all.
2, 3, 4. Oh, you have your ticket, you ready? Do we have another wrapper? No. Oh, okay, so we want to get them in real quick. Real quick, real quick.
Maybe he did.
Give me the other side. All right.
Yeah, so you keep that one. You drop it.
All right, we're gonna do the raffle. We come back to you guys.
Okay, y'all ready? Maybe we could have time to do another one. 'cause I think we're
Miss-
still
Another
missing.
one for everybody and then get a ticket.
Yeah.
Mr. Kendall.
Yes.
Look at All right.
We could do one more.
We'll get another.
Okay, y'all ready? 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 7. Where are you? 2, 4, 7. 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 7. Anybody? You? Nice. Come on up. Oh, 'cause Lord Jesus. You just got here. Wow.
All right. You want DoorDash, Uber, Amazon, or movies?
It's okay.
Amazon. There you go, sweetie.
Take this one.
You are welcome.
Okay, y'all. We are moving right along.
Can one of them get a different ticket? Yolanda, get one different ticket. They don't get one ticket. I don't know what
All right, y'all. We're gonna talk about emotions real quick. If you didn't get a ticket, we'll get you a ticket afterwards. We'll do another raffle to move it along. All right, let's talk about emotions. According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of emotion is the natural instinctive state of mind that one may have based off of circumstances, mood, and relationship with others. Okay, there are many different emotions. As you can see up here, we have the emotion of sad, happiness, fear, being surprised, disgusted, and anger. These are some of the basic emotions that we normally talk about and deal with every day. I think one of the biggest things to understand with your emotions is that there are different areas of emotions. So, for instance, if we're going to talk about sadness, if somebody asks you, how do you feel? You may say, I feel okay, or I may feel sad. So there's other ways to explain what being sad means. If we talk about anger, there's other ways to talk about being angry. So let's talk about the basic ones: sadness, happiness, fearful, surprise, and disgust. One of the biggest emotions that we are always talking about and always dealing with is anger. All right? It's okay to be angry. It's what we do with that anger and how we respond to that anger. Everybody with me? All right. So when you become really angry, a lot of times what happens is we act off of the anger. And when we act off of the anger, there's different things that can happen, whether good or bad. So it's always good to learn how to control and how to manage that anger. All right? So
okay, good evening. Let's get up. Anybody, raise your hand if you're 18 and under. All right, let me try that again. Raise your hand if you're 18 and under. I'm gonna start pointing people out. I'm gonna start coming to all of y'all. All right, put your hands down. Parents, don't take this the wrong way. I'm putting all of y'all on mute right now. Teenagers, I want some honest, brutal answers. The adults in this room right now are not gonna judge you. They're not going to ask you questions. Well, I can't promise that. But I want some real answers right now, because I know you know 'em. How many of y'all know where to get a gun from? I can see it back. Go ahead, raise your hand. How many of y'all know where to get a gun from? Some of y'all not telling the truth. It's okay. How many of y'all ever seen a gun? See, how you don't know where to get it from then? Told on yourself. Okay? How many of y'all been in a fight before? Shoot, I put both of my hands up and lost a couple of them too. Worry about the one that's silent, not the one that makes the most noise. Trust me. I took a whipping at the boys' club one day like you wouldn't believe. Boy knew karate. I didn't. Okay? All right, next question. So you've been in a fight. Is there anything in this world that's worth fighting for? I mean, yeah, physically fighting. Like what? Your mother. Like what? Your mother, your parents. Your life. What else? Your best friend. Y'all on the fire right here. You done woke back up. What? The whole entire family. Your generation. That's a different kind of fight. That's what we here doing tonight. You here fighting for your generation right now. Say again? We're going to talk about that. No, I asked for an honest answer. I put the adults on mute, sorry. I put the adults on mute, remember? No, not right now. Not right now. Anybody else? What's worth fighting for? I'm the violence prevention guy. You're not coming in my house and doing anything to my family. You're not. It's okay to feel like that. By law, you have a right to defend yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Within reason.
Within reason.
I'm gonna let you talk about that. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay? But the standard can't be just because I lost a fight, I go get a gun. Is that? Give me an opinion on that, officer.
That is accurate. You can defend yourself, like I said, within reason. If you lose a fight and then you go try to get a gun, you've accelerated the force threshold. So then you'll be held liable.
There are more guns in this world than there are people. There are more guns in this world than there are people. I don't even know the number anymore. I'm just getting back into really doing conflict resolution. At one point, it was 3 to 4 guns for every person in the world. 3 to 4. That's a lot of guns. Adults, hope I don't get in trouble for this. We need to spend more time on bullets than what bathrooms. We need to worry more about how people, not worry about how people dress, but how they dying. I'm using the same letter if you follow me, okay? Everybody has a right to live, be free, comfortable, everything. Well, let me tell you something. If I'm gonna be honest, there are different levels of violence. There's international violence. I'm gonna be honest. I can't think of a country that hadn't been in a war. Wars are violent. We see them on TV. There's one going on now between Ukraine and Russia. There's one going on in Virginia. People are dying. There's one going on in Henrico. There's one going on all over the place. Part of this is what we put in our brain. Input, output. I did a test on myself the other day. And my wife even told me this. I had to change the music I listened to in my car. I got older, but Power 92 had me driving different. In the kitchen, twisted like stir fry, had me driving different. I listen to classical music. I play an instrument. I put it on that music, I drive different. I pull out my phone sometimes, running through reels, and find myself getting angry about what I'm looking at. Anybody else? It changes you. What you listening to? I know I'm old, but does anybody talk about love in a rap song without calling somebody out their name at the same time? I love you. Really? That's what you want your husband or you want your partner or whoever it is to say to you? No. No. Miss Jackie told you earlier, everybody in here is worth something. Guns can't be the baseline for everything. When that door go boom, and don't tell me about that snitching. I don't even want to hear that. I watch First 48 all the time.
Everybody telling. Everybody. When we take them back and the detectives send them down, everybody telling. So everybody's telling, especially if you tell them they're going to jail for a long time. I only see one kid who didn't tell anything, but that's because he did it. But everybody else tells.
When they start talking them years, y'all,
When they start talking months.
I don't even know if this is true, but I'm gonna come to, and none of us really know the truth. I know somebody gonna say they might, and I don't even know because I'm gonna have to go deep here on my own. We talking about all these rappers out here. I think what's the guy supposed Gunna? The word is he supposedly snitched on everybody, and that's why he's free. Everybody heard that story, right? I'm just saying, we talk about snitches. We see it all the time. When that door closed, nobody do time for you. You do that for yourself. You do that for yourself. So the other part while you're coming up, the other part of that is when people don't tell, you know what you do? You're giving away your power because you're keeping your neighborhood unsafe. You don't even like what they doing. You don't even like what they're doing in the neighborhood. You wish it wasn't there. But I can't tell because I'm going to be a snitch. I'd rather be an alive snitch than the dead somebody else. We ain't going to go too far.
No, we ain't going far. Re-emphasizing on what my boy said over there in law enforcement. What he said a while ago was how when they bring them to the jail cell or wherever they take them to, and they sit down and talk with detectives. Well, I'm a detective out of the city of Richmond. So my partners back there are with the city as well. We all work together. And speaking about snitching, we deal with some of the biggest, toughest people you could deal with. And those same tough people who claim they are the hardcore people who will not speak against any of their boys or anybody else are the same people are, as soon as we sit them down across the table from us, they're talking about every single thing that happened. So snitching is not a so-called rule that you're supposed to live by. What they're doing is trying to protect themselves so they won't be gone for the next 20, 30, 40 years or a lifetime. Same thing why you don't need to be trying to go to wherever it is because you didn't want to talk about something. So I'm just re-emphasizing on what you were just speaking about.
And if I can expound on that, you don't have to be, if you're going to contribute information to law enforcement, you don't have to be on Front Street. You don't have to testify. But if you can give us a good lead, nobody ever know that you did it, but we can get those people who damage your property or kill your friends, we can get them off the street.
Absolutely correct.
And can I just follow up real quick to what you mentioned about the rap music? When you said about the love songs and, unless they're calling somebody out their name, I'm all about female empowerment. To my young black females, I also want to point out that black women, young black girls, are the only group of women that media execs will allow to be disrespected in music. They will never call a white woman out of her name, but they allow black women to be called out of their name all the time. So I just want to point that out.
I need y'all to walk up here. Everybody, all the young folks, walk up here. Just come along here, right here, up in front. I got some numbers up here. I want you to start down this end.
Let's
I
go.
want you to
Get
start
up.
on this side.
Get up. Get up.
Get up.
I want you to start on this side, though. But stay out this way. Stay out this way a little bit. In front of me. Stay in front of me. I want you to look at me.
Let's
be
go.
Able to see me. Be able to see me. Look, y'all turn around. I need y'all to be looking at me while you up here. I want you to turn around and look at me because I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to give me some answers. Back up a little bit. You don't have to be right up. I'm not famous. I'm not doing autographs. All right. So right now, as much as we can, I got the number 1, the number 5. Hold them up high, please. I got the number 1, 5, and 10 right here. All right? This thing is called What's Worth Fighting For. I'm telling you now, as a violence prevention person, there are things that we're fighting for and things that you are allowed to defend yourself. Then there are things that are not. And we got to figure out where the line is, what really is bothering. We talked about emotions. We talked about all of that. Somebody call you a name. Somebody probably called somebody a name today. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least, move to where you would be if somebody just called you a name. Are you going to fight? Or does that not bother? If it don't bother you, move down this way as far as you can. If you're ready to fight because somebody called you, I want you to be honest, though. If you're ready to fight just like that because somebody called you a name, then you move closer to this way.
Y'all need to tell the truth.
I know.
What kind of name?
I'm a police officer. Y'all need to tell the truth.
What kind of name
I'm
does
a
it?
Y'all need to
mother.
be
I know
5
y'all.
and
Come
10.
on.
Who over here doesn't really, is not even bothering you? Why is it not bothering you?
Because I don't care.
Does it matter what they call you?
No.
Why are you over here?
Because their opinion doesn't matter.
Is anybody at 2 or 3? Not at 0. You at 2? You at 2? You at 1. What's the difference between 0 and 1? You say again?
I
All right. What if they say something about your mother? Remember, 5 is the middle.
See, y'all playing.
All right, now, this is what I want. Because this is an extreme. We don't even really have anybody in the middle. I still got people over here at the one. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Do what you feel. That's the biggest issue now. Think for yourself. Okay, you still over here one. Said something about your mother that was inappropriate. Why are you still chill? You still cool?
Because I don't care what nobody say.
Anybody else here want to give a reason why you kind of chill with it? Just don't move you? It don't move you? Why not?
Because words don't hurt me.
Thank you. All right, I got to go over here. I asked for honesty, so I got to live with it. Anybody over here want to tell me why they over here? What number are you? 5 is you all the way at 10. So they call your mom the B word. Automatically, you gonna just hit them.
Yep.
It ain't funny now, because whatever you say in here, you have to own up to. Anybody else over here? Automatically gonna fight. Why?
Because you had no right to talk about my mom. And now if I talk about your dad, folks are going to be mad.
Let me ask this. Is anybody over here going to say something about their mother back to them? Oh, so that means it's okay if they hit you too, right? Because you over here, it's okay for you to hit them, so that's okay too? It's not okay for them to hit you?
I mean, if you hit me, we're going to get into a fight.
You said it was okay to fight for your mother. Does that give the next person the right to do that too? It does? It gives them the right to do it? Nah, it's a decision you make. Y'all can sit down. You can sit down. You got to figure out what's worth fighting for. You got to figure out what's worth fighting for. And adults in the room, I'm not going to ask, because I know that the answers would be different, but I've done this with adults. There are things, I can't see that. All right. Couple things. Y'all can sit down, thank you. Turn this around for me, don't hold this up. If you can do these first 2 things, if you can do those first 2 steps, you got a way better chance of resolving your problem, stopping and calming down. Get yourself together before you make a decision. Before you make a decision, that's gonna cost you time, money, maybe even your life or somebody else. One of them stats said most people that get shot, they don't die. What it doesn't tell you is what disability they live with, whether they're paralyzed, quadriplegic, paraplegic. So you say, oh, they got shot and didn't die. Woo. Okay, they're never gonna walk again. We saw a man who graduated from Reynolds, got shot. Quality of life is different. I'm gonna stop there because I am on time because I can go on. But let me say this about bullying before I go. Bullying, this is for the adults. Bullying is not a problem for kids to solve. It's a problem for us to solve with them. That is our responsibility. You cannot expect a young kid to take on bullying and come to a solution by themselves. I'm done.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Time to get things moving on. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for the information. Now it's time to get to the very good part right now, to our panelists. I'll take the opportunity to introduce our panelists right now. You met Mr. Mike Harris. First panelist will be Mr. Officer Boatwright, Henrico Police. Then we have Terrell Pollard. He's a Connect alumni, the current chairman of Too Smart to Start, and now the president of the Henrico NAACP. We have Mr. Darius Williams, a victim of gun violence. He's going to share his story. And we have Ms. Monica Hutcherson and Shiloh Tillman from Rise for Youth. Shiloh Tillman, I'm very sorry. Each panel will have 4 to 5 minutes to speak. And while they're speaking, we're going to practice the ABCs, meaning we're going to be audible if you ask a question. We are going to be brief in our comments. Our time is limited. And finally, we're going to be very considerate. We're going to respect the panelists as they speak and give them your undivided attention as they speak. Okay, panelists, the floor is yours.
Was there a question, or did you want me to?
To share your experience on gun violence and conflict resolution.
Okay, in the county, especially within the last 2 years, gun violence has been on the rise. Also, like they spoke earlier, people are pulling on door handles and taking firearms out of your vehicle. So one, you need to make sure you keep your car doors locked. And I'm not anti-firearm. I am pro-firearm safety awareness. So if you have questions about guns or you want to shoot guns, you got to get with somebody who is responsible to teach you how to use a gun. Most of the times, and if you're ever able to watch in the videos, when people are shooting at somebody, they don't hit the person they want to hit. They hit everybody and everything around what they're hitting, right? So we need to make sure that we're not afraid of guns. We need to make sure that we understand guns. We need to make sure that we understand gun safety. There's been a lot of calls that I've gone on where kids find a gun, play with it, and then they shoot their sibling, or they shoot their friend, or they shoot themselves. A lot of self-inflicted gun wounds are on the rise because a lot of people will wear their gun in their waistband and they're fiddling around with the gun and shoot themselves in the leg or in their genitals. So that's another thing that we have to worry about. Also, if you can manage, like you said, manage your anger, stop and think before you make a decision that can affect your life and the life of everybody around you. Those are just the basics. You just have to be smart. You guys are very intelligent. You guys are, connected with the internet, so you guys know and see everything that I'm talking about. But yet you guys still make the same mistakes. You guys have to stop and think, because when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you don't think about the future because you don't even know anything about the future. Also, if you're dealing with trauma, you have PTSD. One symptom of PTSD is not being able to fathom the future. So that's why I interact with a lot of children. They say, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's not them being nonchalant. It's just in their minds. They've gone through so much that they actually do not care, or they don't think that they're going to be past tomorrow, right? And like everyone else said, you matter. You can make a difference in this world. I never thought I'd be a police officer. I grew up in Essex Village. I don't know if y'all know where that's at, but I never ever thought I'd be a police officer. I never thought I'd be able to affect so many young people's lives, so many adult lives. I never thought I'd be an MMA fighter. I never thought everything that I've done, I never thought I would be able to do. But because, God looked out for me and kept me on a straight path, or put people in my life that could give me information to be better, I turned out the way I am. And I want that for all of you guys. You guys it may not register in your mind right now, but in the next 5 or 10 years, you can look back on these experiences and then you can become a better adult. And you can change your community, you can change your family, you can change your own life. Your circumstances now do not dictate your future. But if you start playing with guns or being around people who play with guns, you will be on the T-shirt. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Officer Bullwright. Mr. Terrell Pollard, can you share the effects of gun violence in our community, the effects for the community?
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is Terrell Pollard. The effects of our community, we had, I'm kind of in a state of shock. I think it was yesterday. There was a shooting at a graduation. And so that's some of the effects on our community. You have persons who commit violence. They mess up their lives because they have to deal with those consequences. They mess up, they significantly traumatize their parents and loved ones because those people are pouring into them. And then what they poured into them, it can feel like failure because the person they were raising is now gone away for years, not to mention the victims. Those people who were injured, those people who were killed. And so violence has a way of just stopping everything. And so it has a very negative effect on our community. And we have to figure out a way to resolve our conflicts in a better way. Because violence is a result of conflicts. And so we can figure out a win-win, and everybody gets what they want. We can avoid the violence. I just wanted to say, I grew up in Coventry Gardens, and so there was a Connect program in Coventry Gardens, Exes Village, so we used to play like Exes Village and football and stuff. Admittedly, I'm old, but I think it's some we're all human. We all experience trauma. We all are young at some point, and God willing, grow old. But I was in a fight every year I was in school except for my 12th grade year. My mom begged me not to fight. And I used to tell people that, that I would black out, that I was crazy. You don't want to mess with me. If you say X, Y, and Z to me, I'll do whatever. And I was talking to a guy when I was like freshman year in college, and then he explained to me, he said, "You're letting people get control of you." I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college. I had an incident in college. I was getting kicked out of school. I had big dreams for myself, but I wanted to fight anytime someone messed with the insecurity of mine. And so that's what I wanted to highlight to you all, is that anger, violence, is a defense mechanism. And it's not meant to be used all the time. It's meant to be when you're in real danger. And a lot of us are dealing with some insecurities. Our feelings are hurt. Some of the most sensitive, emotional people are people who are so-called thugs, gangsters, whatever the term is now. When someone calls your name and you want to fight, that means your feelings are hurt. So we got to figure out a better way to do that. Lastly, I'll say, grew up, and I have a friend who went to prison because he was riding with someone. They got into the friend got into a fight. He shot someone else. My friend went to jail for what's when you help somebody but kill someone? Accessory to murder. And he didn't know it was going to happen. He was just happy to be there. He knew the person had a gun. And so just being around that. While I was in school, we had a similar incident that just happened yesterday. And so these things are real, and we have to, the last thing I'll say is, how many, just raise your hand real quick, how many of y'all know what you want to do with your life? How many of you know what it looks like? Like, I want to have a certain amount of money, I want to live in a certain type of house, I want to be in a certain type of neighborhood, I want to add certain type of things to the world. Make it your business to figure out what you want to do. One of the best ways to stay away from violence, one of the best ways to stay away from trouble is figure out what you want to do with your life. Figure out what your interests are, what your strengths are. If you don't know what they are, find them out. You have so much to offer to the world. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted with violence. That's what it is. That's the negative impact. It's a distraction. It's so much more. I remember fighting over like territory. I grew up in apartments. Nobody owned the homes. We fighting for things we don't own. And so and Mike had a great, what are you fighting for? You should be fighting for your future. You should be fighting for your family's future. A name is not worth fighting for. A silly argument is not worth fighting for.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard. And we had Darius Williams going to share his story about being a victim of gun violence.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off what they saying, like fighting. Me and my friends like to fight when we was young. So we did a whole lot of fighting, and I went to a club one night for a party, and we fighting, and they kicked us all out the club, and we still fighting outside, and I got shot. So this is about those split-second decisions, and fighting ain't worth it. Stay out beef, Instagram beef. Just stay out all that extra stuff, and know what you want to do in life. Like, you get distracted, and you might want to be outside. You turn up with your friends, and that might turn into you fighting somebody, and there's a whole lot more kids out here with guns when I was younger. So you see what happened at the graduation. Let's be careful out here, and it might cost your life. So just be smart. Y'all young, y'all got a lot to live for. I was shot in my stomach, and just once, and I went through like 4 surgeries. There's a picture of me. I only seen this picture a couple times, but yeah, like it almost took me out. So I'm here standing today, to tell my story, just to help young people like yourself out, and so y'all just be successful in life. And that's pretty much it. For real.
And I just want to say one thing, because he may not even know the details. It's been 10 years since he was shot, and that was after the first surgery. You can't see it, but his whole stomach is open. They couldn't close him. He was so swollen, they could not stitch him back up. He lost 3 feet of his large intestines, 2 feet of his small intestines, and a portion of his colon. He still got nerve damage in his leg today. So that's the stuff about, oh yeah, he got shot, he good, he ain't die. But that's what he's still living with and dealing with 10 years later. So that's what we have to, as parents, that's what your mama walking into, because that's what I walked into. But he was out there, he did what he did, he got to fighting. Person that wasn't even fighting got to shooting. And this is what happens. And like he said, he don't even remember that. That's what your mama has to remember. That's what your grandma, that's what your aunties, that's what they have to remember. And that's why I keep that picture. Because I don't want him ever to forget. He was 19.
Thank you. Now we have our next on the panel is Monica Hutchison and Shiloh Tillman from Rise for Youth.
So I'm Monica Hutchinson, Rise for Youth. Rise stands for Reinvest in Supportive Environments for Youth. We believe in creating alternatives to youth incarceration through community-centered approaches, community resources, investing in our young people. That does not mean we do not believe in accountability, but at the same time, we believe in working towards healing the trauma that is in our community, right? Because in order to overcome the violence that is occurring, it's going to take more than just changing one or two of us. It is about systemic changes, and I know you guys have heard that, right? It's going to take systemic changes. We have to get to the root of the causes, and I know you guys saw a lot of the underlying causes up there, right? Poverty, violence, all of those things. And so, in order to combat poverty, in order to combat housing insecurity, food insecurity, lack of quality education, one of the ways to do that is we have to ensure that we've got the people in the right positions of power, the right people in positions of power who are going to listen to what we say, going to listen to the voices of those who are most impacted by the issue at hand, and will work towards the solutions that we tell them. Not what they think is best for us, but what the community says is best, right? And so for those of you who are 18 and over, pay attention. The entire General Assembly is on the ballot this year. The entire state legislature is on the ballot this year. The people that can make laws to protect you, to make sure that the funding is coming to your school, to make sure that school is teaching you what you want it to teach, that you are more engaged, that you have opportunities, that your parents have opportunities, that you are living in a safe community, safe environments. We're getting these guns off of the street. Because when it comes to guns, I'm sorry, I don't see any gun manufacturing plants in our communities. So where are they coming from? Right? And so, we can definitely take the person who is committing the offense off the street, but unless we get to the systemic root cause of it, someone else will be in that place. And it's like this endless cycle of bringing people into that position until we address what is causing it. And so don't fall for people who, say things like, oh, it's mental illness, guns aren't the problem, all this other foolishness, right? Because, we do have more guns in this country than people, and that is a problem. And so, like I said, we work with young people. We work to empower our young people. We listen to our young people, and everything that our young people tell us, my job is to take that to the General Assembly, is to fight for policy, is to help make sure that the bills that are being presented at the General Assembly reflect what we need done, what we say we want done. And then we fight for that. Our young people go and they testify to the General Assembly. We take them with us, wherever it may be, to have these open, honest discussions, because we can rehash the problems all day. But unless we start talking about solutions, then what are we doing? We are honestly re-traumatizing ourselves if we do not start coming up with solutions that we can achieve. March in the streets. But I need to make sure that once you march in those streets and you raise attention to the problem, that somebody's willing to sit at the table to create lasting change. Because I'm tired of seeing us march in the street. How many times are we going to have to march for the same situation? How many times do you have to lose a friend? This is serious. And like I said, we all approach it from different ways. It's going to take all of us. We all play a role in this. And so my job, and people like me, what my job is, like I said, my job is to work towards creating lasting systemic changes, and that is through policy at the local, state, and federal level. So if you will be 18 by November 8th, you can register to vote in the primary that is June 20th, and vote for the candidate who believes in common sense gun reform. Shiloh.
Hey everyone, how are y'all? Good. I appreciate you all staying awake and active with us during this panel. It really does mean a lot to me. I first want to say that mental health has always been one of my biggest priorities when it comes up to youth, because it is significant. We wake up each and every morning, go to school, go to work, whatever the case may be. We all have things that we have going on all the time. And I just want you to all know that your mental health does matter, that you all are important, and education is important as well. I believe that education can take you so many places as long as you believe into it. Like, for me, my personal experience is that, I went through foster care. I've been through every type of abuse that you can think of, and I realize is that trauma is truly a thing. It really is. And it took me a long time to address it and to be able to speak about it and be opened. But I just want to say, from a youth perspective, is that talk about your feelings, talk about your emotions. Please talk. If you ever just need somebody just to listen to you, hear you out, go to your loved ones, someone that you trust, because it would be sad just to see any of y'all out here one day be gone because of gun violence or just anything in general. So I just wanted to say, from a youth perspective, continue to strive, continue to be strong. And if you ever need anything, please do reach out to the people that love and adore you all. And there's so many resources out here in the community, whether it's just to have fun or just be educated or just interact. Just be yourself and have fun.
And I just want to lift up. I just want to lift up super quick is that yesterday at the shooting, we actually had two of our RISE members who were graduating, who had just graduated, and two of my coworkers who were there to support them, and so they were in the midst of it. And my coworker was actually supposed to be here tonight, and I had to take his place, because even though we work in this space, right, we work with our young people, it still impacts everybody. And so just want to really lift up our RISE family and let them know we love them and we're thinking of them, and everything they're feeling right now is okay.
In 10 seconds, one last thing. I want to say that everyone has a heart and a brain. And so one of the reasons it can be difficult to resolve conflicts, because your feelings are your feelings. And so they feel very true, especially if you're angry, especially if you feel like being violent. It feels true in that moment. The heart, our feelings, our emotions lets us know where we are, how we feel about where we are, and our brain helps us get there. So please, when you are feeling sad or you're feeling mad or you're feeling insecure about something, ask yourself, where do you want to be and what's the best way to get there? How can everybody win in that moment? And is violence really going to get you what you want? I think violence is changing what you want. You might want one thing, but because you can't get it, then you choose to be violent. So I challenge you to, in those moments, take a moment and figure out the best way to get what you want. Sometimes it involves patience. That's it.
Okay, real quick, somebody was talking about solutions. This is nothing new. protective factors are things that buffer risk factors. Being in the leadership program and youth ambassadors, being in the Connect program is a protective factor because after school time is a real critical time for young folks. So any school program that you can be a part of is always a good thing. Being occupied, when you just have time, you have to put something in the space of time. If you're just I'm just not doing anything, then your mind starts to wander and whatever comes along, comes along. We all want to belong to something. We all want to be a part of something. After school program, Boys and Girls Club, there are mentoring programs out here. I just put the two that I'm more familiar with, the Delta Gems, which is a mentoring program for young ladies by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and the Omega Academy is ours, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and we meet twice a month. We have 2 chapters in Richmond for boys. So when people say there aren't mentoring programs out here, there are mentoring programs out here. Is there another slide? That's it. Okay.
Rise for Youth is a mentoring program.
Rise for Youth is a mentoring program. For the folks that were over here on number 10 about your mom, I want you to do me one favor when you go home. I want you to ask your mother what she would want you to do.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I want to thank all of our panelists today for sharing their stories. I hope everyone got something out of today's program. We're going to do one last raffle, so I hope you guys still have your tickets. I'm going to pick one out, close my eyes, and pick the last one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 0. 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 0. Come forward, please, and get your prize.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Again, thank all of you for coming tonight. I hope y'all, again, learn something to take back to your community. Everything that was shared here today will change your life if you apply it. Do not walk out this door and say, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to ignore this. Apply it. It may save your life, your friend's life, so apply it. In the back, we have some food from you. You want to go with your group, with your group you came with. So Oakland Village will go first.
We're not leaving you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Any questions? First of all, hey, let's give our panelists a round of applause. Excellent. Give yourself a round of applause. I think y'all did an excellent job. Listen, this information is not entertaining. It's not going to make you jump up and down and run around, but it's real information. I want you to stand up. If in your community, in the last couple of months, has there been gunshots? Have there been shooting in your community? Stand up. Stand up. Shooting in your community. So when they say why you got all these young folks in here, this is why. This qualifies you. Because there hasn't been shooting in my community, but there's been shooting in your community, but they talking about you too young to be here. Y'all have a seat. Have a seat. If you have a family member that's been a victim of gun violence, either murdered, gone to jail, or just been shot, stand up. Be real and bold about it. Look around. You see what I'm saying? This qualifies you. Have a seat. This affects everybody. It's not just about yesterday. It's about how it makes us feel and what we're going through. Myself, my father was murdered when I was 6 years old. Changed my life forever. And see, that's the stuff we don't think about. Nobody wins. Listen, yesterday, nobody wins on both sides. If I would told you, I would trade, listen, I'm going to take her life, and you don't like her, but you got to lose yours too. Does that make sense? Say it loud, no. Yes or no?
No.
It don't make sense. That's what happened yesterday. That's what happened yesterday. They traded a life for a life. And what we don't think about is all the people that were affected by that. The parents, the sisters, the brothers, the grandparents, the child, the 6-year-old who lost his daddy. Wasn't just for a moment. That was for a lifetime. Over what? Think about it. Over what? What could have been so bad? that it couldn't have been resolved or talked through. Everything that we learned about today, emotional control. I appreciate you, Brother Darius. I pray and I'm thankful because your situation didn't have to be what it was. God is wonderful. God is great to have secured you and blessed you to be here to tell your story. And we need brothers like you to continue to share that. Because the only thing we know is that when people get shot, they pass away, like my daddy did. But what happens is it affects our whole families forever. It's not a video game where you can hit the reset button, turn it off, and turn it back on. I was a probation officer for 5 years in the late 80s where crack and murder was at its all-time high. People would go and they would murder other people, boys, because the drug war was crazy. I would go visit on Mecklenburg. Anybody remember Mecklenburg Street? I'd go to Mecklenburg on Monday and visit a young man who just shot and killed somebody. You know what he would ask me? Mr. Rodney, when you think I'm going home? Think about that. He just killed somebody Saturday night. And he asked, Mr. Rodney, Mr. Gore, when do you think I'm going home? You know what that told me? He ain't have a clue of what he just done and the trajectory of the rest of his life. I just looked at him and I thought in my mind, son, you ain't never going home. Never. You can't take it back. We have to learn to communicate and talk about our problems and our issues and become emotionally mature. We're going to have to do it. And it starts with us and it starts with you. That's why y'all young folks are here. Once again, I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for the panel. I thank you for Community Christian Center for allowing us to host these events. September, we're going to talk about same issue, suicide. It's declining overall. Suicides are going down, but in one demographic, which in one culture is going up. Who you think is rising, the rising culture suicides is raising amongst? Take one guess. Yes. African Americans. It used to be a time where black folk, they used to say, we don't kill ourselves. I'm almost 60 years old. That was black people killing them. It's a different culture. It's a different mindset. It's a lot going on. It's a lot of pressure. We got social media. We got a lot of pressure. Got a lot going on. Rejection, feeling bad about ourselves, depression, anxiety. It's a lot going on. So we got to do some work. We got some discussion. We got to continue to work. We need everybody in here. Raise your hand if you're willing to help with the cause. Raise your hand if you're willing to help a friend and you're willing to help your family. If you're willing to be a part of the solution versus part of the problem. And it starts with everybody going back in their communities and doing something about it. When you see somebody being bullied, do something about it. Everybody got that? I know I'm loud and wild, but I love all of y'all. I really do. And I'm passionate about it because God has allowed me to live and see almost 60 years. He ain't allowed my daddy to see but 23. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I got 5 children and a grandbaby. I'm grateful to be working in Oakland Village 30 years. I'm grateful to be standing here today. So with no further ado, I want to bring our great pastors, Pastor Julius White and Pastor Karen White, and I want to thank them on the behalf of Henrico Mental Health, on behalf of just all our partners who have been with us, again, to allowing us to host these events. All right? So thank you so much. Give yourself a hand again. Y'all so beautiful.
Wow. Man, good evening, everybody. I am not going to belabor the time. They got pizza, and I know y'all ready. But first, can we show some love to the panelists up here for parents in the house, grown-ups in the house? Y'all show these young folks some love for just showing up on tonight. And I appreciate you all being here. Listen, to the parents and to our young folks, up on our boards is an opportunity to connect with us. We pray every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're praying for our communities. We're praying for our young people. We're praying for families. Our role as the church is not only to serve naturally, but to serve spiritually. And we take our assignment, our role seriously. So while I do believe that there is so much work to be done naturally, I also believe that there is an equal, if not more, amount of work that needs to be done spiritually. So tomorrow, we are specifically praying for our city. So right there, you can see, you can simply call in 267-876-3237, the code 5484-162. Mute your phones. But tomorrow you're going to get an opportunity to name any name that you would like for us to come into agreements and pray for us specifically. So every parent, you're allowed to unmute, name your children, your nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever it might be that you're concerned about and that you would like Community Christian Center to come into agreement, praying, covering for God's safety, God's protection, and God's provision. So we invite you to join us every Tuesday, every Thursday, 7 o'clock a.m. We pray for about 22 minutes, and we're out of there. You don't have to say a word. If you don't want to get up, you ain't even got to get up. Just join us in prayer. Tonight, my assignment is, before we dismiss, is to take the opportunity to do this. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you believe in God, God wants a relationship with you. So I would be remiss to watch us all come in here, gather together, know the concerns that's facing our young people, know the concerns that's facing even us as adults. There is a wicked spirit that's resting on our city. And I just believe that prayer still works. So tonight, I want to do this. I want to ask all that we're not trying to force our beliefs on anybody. But to all my young people, all my parents that will, I want to ask if you feel safe, if you would just meet us at the altar. We don't have to touch you. We don't have to do anything. But we do want to pray for you. Summer is coming. A lot of activities, a lot of behaviors seem to intensify in the summer. But we just want to pray for you, pray with you. So if you're open, if you're willing, if you're desirous, I'm just going to ask that you just come down. It's okay. Again, it ain't nothing spooky get ready to happen. We ain't get ready to fall out. We just get ready to come into an agreement and prayer. So if anybody here is, boy, I must say a bad word then. It's cool. Then let's do this. Can we just stand? Can we just stand where we are? If you're comfortable. If you're not, you don't even have to stand. And we're dismissing? Yeah, okay, cool. Real quick. Father, we do thank you for all things being well. We thank you for covering, keeping. We thank you for protecting and providing. We thank you for all these young people that have filled the room. Father, I thank you for watching over each and every one of them, speaking well concerning them, providing for their needs. Father, I thank you that on this evening, as they depart this place, the Holy Spirit does not depart them, but you cover and keep them, take them home safely, watch over them, protect their homes, and ensure that every need is met. We thank you for all things being well. We believe to receive every good and perfect gift that's been given through and by the matchless name of your Son, Jesus the Christ. And we all pray together, amen. Man, we love you guys. God bless you. Thank you, Brother Gore.
I also want to say, y'all be safe this summer. Have fun, because I know school's about to be out, so y'all enjoy yourselves.
And there's an event this Saturday. You get a $25 gift card for attending. I have the flyers. I'll be in the back passing them out.